Hey guys, I'm back. I haven't talked to you guys in so long, but of course it wouldn't be a video on my channel if I didn't disappear for like a couple months. But at this point, it's a lifestyle, it's a choice, and I'm totally doing it on purpose. So if you weren't aware, one of my last videos was me coming onto this channel and saying that I am transgender. If you haven't seen that video, click here. I didn't really speak much about my experience, or I didn't really tell any stories because I wanted to save it for videos like this one. And by the way, I just want to say, if you hear any chanting and yelling and drumming in the background, it is because there is a football match going on and there's not much I can do about it, so we'll just move forward. The show must go on. But yeah, today I wanted to talk about the different steps you need to take to get on hormone replacement therapy, or HRT, and just kind of talk about my experience with it. I just want to preface this by saying that I can only speak of how it works here in Italy, which is where I live, and I don't really know if the steps we need to take here is the same as in different countries, but I would assume it is, and I will tell you in a second why. You are transgender living in Italy and you want to get on HRT. What are the steps you need to take? Step 1 is you need to contact a therapist or a psychologist. Basically, you will have a couple of sessions with the therapist, and the amount of sessions depends on the therapist and the client, but typically you will agree on a couple sessions, and basically throughout these sessions the therapist will assess you and determine if taking HRT is the right step for you, and if you won't regret it later on, if it will actually make you happier. Basically, during these sessions you will have to talk about your whole life, basically, so childhood, family, trauma, friendships and relationships, basically everything. You're gonna have to talk a lot about yourself, and it is definitely hard at times, emotionally grueling, and not an easy task. But when is therapy easy? Talking about emotions and stuff is not easy, but it has to be done. Once you've talked about your entire life to a complete stranger, they will give you a diagnosis of gender dysphoria. Step 2 is contacting an endocrinologist. Basically, you want to go to the endocrinologist and say, hey, I want to start HRT. This is my diagnosis for gender dysphoria. What can you do for me? And basically, they'll be like, great. We will have to run a couple tests. So get your blood drawn, measure your hormone levels in order to determine the dose of HRT that you will be taking. After that, you'll have to choose the type of HRT you want to go on. So if you're FTM like me, you have the choice between progesterone. Or is that the female one? Holy shit. Hey, editing Nick here. I definitely did not mean to say progesterone. That is a female hormone. What I meant to say was sustanin. Sustanin, not progesterone. I don't want progesterone in my body. Thank you. Bye. Back to the video. There's testosterone and there's another one. I don't remember if it's progesterone. I don't think it is that, but there is another one. You also have to decide how you want to take it. So you could take it via injections, patches, gel. Step 3 is going to the pharmacy and retrieving your HRT, and basically, yeah, you can start HRT for the rest of your happy days. So now that we've laid out the steps for HRT, let's talk about my experience, because holy shit, there is so much to say. I have been wanting to get on testosterone since I was about 14 or 15, and there were two things stopping me from doing that back then. The first was that I wasn't out to a lot of people in my life. Back then I was only out to my best friends, my girlfriend at the time, and my brother. So not a lot of people. And the second thing that was stopping me was the fact that I was a minor. Of course, as we all know, you can't do much if you're a minor without your parents' consent. So I had to wait till I came out, at least to my parents, to potentially even think of going on HRT. I was 14, 15, wanting to get on HRT. Fast forward a bit, I was 15 going on 16. So we're talking about December 2022, January 2023, when I decided to come out to basically everyone in my life. So that includes teachers, classmates, and most importantly, my mom. Initially, she didn't really accept it, and it took her quite a bit of time to get used to calling me by my preferred name and pronouns. And even to this day, she kind of struggles a bit with acceptance and stuff, but that's neither here nor there. The important part is the important thing is to know that back then she really struggled with acceptance, and it actually took me a while to even mention like HRT and transitioning to her. When I came out to basically everyone in my life, including teachers, there was this one teacher, my history teacher, who was kind of concerned about my transgenderism and me wanting to eventually start HRT. And she basically pulled me out of class one day and was like sat me down and was like, hey, are you sure about this? I've had some gay friends who started HRT and they completely regretted it and blah blah blah. You're so young, you have so much life ahead of you. I think it would be a good idea if you saw our school counselor. I did not want to see this school counselor. I was completely convinced at the time, and I still am, that this was the right step for me. This was the right choice, and coming out to everyone was just something I needed to do so I could move forward with my transition. But this history teacher decided that it was a good idea to go behind my back and contact my mom and organize for me to be seen by this school counselor. So one day I am just in maths class and the school counselor comes in and calls me for the session, and I am completely bewildered and confused at this point. He's just like, did you not know like we had a session today? And I said, no, like no one told me about this. Let me tell you about the school counselor. He was basically just like my history teacher. He like pretended to be open and like listen to me, but like secretly like the way he would talk to me was kind of condescending, and like he told me so much bullshit to like try to deter me from wanting to transition. And honestly, that shit kind of worked, because he really broke me down and put ideas in my head that just like really fucked me up for a while. And I don't know, it was so bad for me at the time, because imagine me 15, 16, just came out to everyone, feeling like I don't really have anyone on my side because my mom isn't really accepting of it. And then I go to this fucking counselor, the school counselor, who is supposed to be someone who wants to help me, and you know, mental health is very fragile, and just breaking me down constantly. After 2 years of seeing him, I had to cut him off. Fast forward to April 2024, I was 17, and I had already been doing research on like gender clinics in my area, because I knew that I wanted to start HRT eventually. So I went up to my mom and I said, hey mom, I have been doing research on a couple gender clinics in the area, and I really do want to get on HRT, but you know, the first step is to see a therapist, and I think that would be really good for me. And she was totally on board with that. So April 2024, we contacted a gender clinic. Now, it is important to say that this was a public gender clinic, so they gave me a long waiting time. The waiting time for this gender clinic at the time was 6 to 9 months, which sounds really funny. I will tell you why it is not. The reason I pressed to contact them so much in April was because I was aware beforehand of the waiting times, and being 17, I knew that like in 6 to 9 months I would be nearly 18 or 18, meaning that I would be able to go ahead with the process without having to wait for my mom's consent and having to consult her every step of the way. April 2024, minimum, I knew minimum I had to wait was 6 months. So this whole time I am very impatiently waiting for October. We are in October. We didn't get an email, which is fine. 6 to 9 months, we still have 3 months to wait. So October goes by, then November, and December, and finally January. At this point, I was 18. 9 months, over 9 months had gone by, and at this point I was getting a little worried because hello, 6 to 9 months. So we tried to email them a couple times, and guys, when I tell you the gender clinic ghosted me, like, you cannot make this shit up. I got ghosted by a gender clinic. After the gender clinic ghosted me, I had no choice but to contact a different one. This one was a private gender clinic, meaning that the waiting times were a lot shorter. In fact, I only had to wait, I think, 2 weeks for me to be connected with a psychologist. So they gave me her number, I contacted her. We had this phone call, kind of a get to know you kind of thing. And shortly after that, we started having sessions. This therapist was kind of weird. Basically, the first 2 sessions, we kind of talked about trauma, family life, relationships, how being transgender and how my dysphoria like affects me. All regular, normal stuff. The third session, I had to go in person with my mom. We went to her office, and basically this woman kind of described like me going on testosterone to my mom's face. By the way, she was not really accepting of it still. So after 2 sessions, she was like completely convinced that I would be able to get on T. And the reason I sound so skeptical is because you do not know a person. You cannot assess someone properly after 2 sessions. Like, what do you mean in 2 hours you were completely able to assess me and be able to say that I can 100% go on T? So that was the third session. After the session, my mom did not like this woman at all. The straw that broke the camel's back for me was she wasn't really professional. She kept forgetting stuff. She was always late to her appointments that she set up with me. Very poor service. Wasting my time and money. I decided to cut off this therapist. I cut her off in July when I was abroad on holiday. And when I came back, I had already found another therapist. This one had no connections to gender clinics, but she was a sexologist, so, you know, specializes in sex and sexual health, well-being, and all this stuff. And I guess that also includes like sexual orientation, gender identity, stuff like that. So I thought this was a suitable therapist. So much better than I could have ever asked. She always replied straight away. She was always really open and willing to help, very enthusiastic. She remembered a lot of details because she wrote things down. The thing that I really liked about her was that she was so empathetic. The first sessions we had was during the summer when I was working every day, and basically I had let her know that I was basically financially independent. Like the money I earned, I would try spend them myself without having to ask my mom, and that included like therapy expenses. Once she found out that I was spending my money on therapy, she gave me like a 50% discount. So instead of paying 60, I was paying 30 per session. And that really helped out so much. And I just, like, it just means so much. Like, anyways, I had 5 sessions with this therapist. The last session I had with her was October 14th, which is Tuesday of this week. And basically we had just kind of been talking about problems in my life without really talking about like my dysphoria or about like medically transitioning or anything. So at the end of our last session, I kind of told her like, hey, I'm really desperate to get on T at this point. It has been 4 years of waiting and I feel like I haven't been able to make the right moves. I have been fucked over constantly by people I should be able to trust, and I can't wait any longer. Like, do you know how long it would take for me to potentially start HRT? What are the next steps I need to take? And the therapist said, sure, like, you know, I'm not really well informed at the moment, but I will text you throughout the week and let you know with all the information. And yeah, that's how the session ended. The following night, so Wednesday, I got a text from her with a website and basically the steps I need to take, which are the steps I talked about at the beginning of this video. Basically, she told me that she was willing to give me my diagnosis for gender dysphoria. When I got that information, I was so... I don't have the words for it, because again, it has been 4 to 5 years of waiting for this moment, and like finally I'm finally getting it. I've had to fight so much. I've had to wait. I have to go through so much dysphoria for me to reach this moment, and now it's finally here. So as of Friday 17th of October 2025, I, Nicholas, have finally and officially been diagnosed with gender dysphoria. So what is next for me? Basically, I would have to contact an endocrinologist, but I don't want to contact just any endocrinologist because I don't want to have to go through another negative experience. You know, I live in a small, closed-minded town, and I don't want to get certain comments from professionals anymore. I'm kind of tired. I'm kind of over that. So I decided to contact a different gender clinic this time, who will be able to put me in contact with an endocrinologist who I presume is LGBT friendly. So I am currently waiting for them to get back to me. The waiting time is 2 weeks, but I am sure this time that I will get a response. I am super excited to start step 2. Unfortunately, it is more waiting, but what is 2 weeks compared to 4 years? So I am trying to be optimistic about this whole situation. I have been through so much worse. But yeah, anyways, that is today's video. If you have any questions, if you would like to hear any more stories, experiences, if you have any thoughts, let me know in the comments below. Leave a like and remember to subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all so much. See you next time. Bye!